I mean, we've been watching a couple of your videos in class and on our own time too. But basically, I really liked your video, the one where you're talking about like the emotional buyer and the numbers person, logical person.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, for the logical person, for me, like, I'm an emotional person, so I guess my best way to communicate with someone logical sometimes, like I've heard some of my calls and I'm just like, God damn. Like,
Yeah. No, don't worry about it.
it's like, how do I guess, what is my best approach with someone like that?
So logical. So the key thing is that with logical people, it's very black and white, right? And so because it's so black and white, logical people will naturally put up a guard much more than an emotional person. A guard meaning whatever you tell me as a salesman, I'm gonna take your words with a grain of salt. That's kind of just the way they think, right? And so because of that, we can kind of maneuver our message in a way where we have them tell them it to themselves. And so we can do that by saying, can you imagine what it would be like if you, and then you tell the statement that you want them to tell themselves. Does that make sense? So if they're, let's say, a pre-approval on a very first call, and this person was just very logical and they're like, hey, I got perfect credit, here's my income, just tell me what I'm qualified for. Say, okay, sir, let me go ahead and make sure first that whatever information I put in front of you is worth your time. You see, the information I put in front of you, it's gonna have my license on it. And my license number is how I get to operate. So it would actually be against the law for me to put my license number on something that I knew was not true. Does that make sense? So you could use words like that against someone who's logical because they're like, oh, okay, makes sense. Whereas someone who, from an emotional level, like it's a little bit different, but same message, right? Say, okay, yeah, well, I'm gonna hold your hand. I'm gonna show you exactly what we're gonna do. Watch, check this out. It's a little bit more emotional, right? But logical person is very straight and assertive, and you're gonna notice that you can pick them apart because that's the way they're talking, right? There's very short sentences. They're not really open, and I would say the best way to win them over is exactly how the script is kind of worded, where it's like, hey, you know what, the reason why you're connected with me because I'm licensed to give you the information you need, but before I begin, let me just make sure I can even go far, I can even complete the call. And logical people love that. Emotional people do too, because they don't want to lose their time. But how you get over, let's say, Mr. Logic, who says, I don't got any time for this, let me just tell me, can you give me the lowest rate? It's like, yeah, I can get you whatever interest rate you want, but let me make sure you can even get that far first. You see, here at New American Funding, we operate a little bit differently, meaning we only put in front of you what you qualify for. We can't give you just generic quotes. You can get that, though, on a TV commercial, but I'm sure you probably want something a little bit more fine-tuned to you, right? Yes, okay, perfect. There's a few things that I'm just going to do first just to make sure we can get that far, right? And then you start moving into the application. Like, is this property going to be your first time buying a home? Or are you going to sell your home? So I'm going to sell it, and then next time they give you any friction, you can use can you imagine if I were to give you a pre-approval letter, you started your shopping, and that pre-approval letter, it didn't have any weight to it because you rushed, the information was rushed, like no one actually dotted their I's or crossed their T's. Can you imagine spending 4 months of your life finally finding a home, right? And then it was never even done correctly? That's how you get them to tell themselves, like, okay, yeah, I better go ahead and go along with your groove or your rhythm or your energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So but you're gonna find that a lot of people, they come off, they may sound logical, but that's just their protection mechanism, and so they put up this guard where they have to be tough. But all in all, you can get an idea of who you're dealing with through the words that they use. Right. So even like on the toughest side, like a refinance or purchase, if they say I need, right, like versus I want to see, or if they say I need to hear about your pre-approvals, then you know what type of learners they are. So they're more audio type learners. If they say I hear, like let me hear about your, right, I heard you on the radio, they immediately choose the words of hear because they want to hear you talk. Does that make sense? And those typically are more emotional, whereas logical is I want to see. They're visual, right? This is someone that they're going to want you to, like, okay, go ahead and grab a pen and paper, This is something that you can have them take notes, and they'll be a little bit more receptive to your message. A lot of these things are from this thing called neuro-linguistic programming. It was created by like these two, like one's a scientist, one's like a therapist, and like it's just a lot of the way that we communicate, and all we're doing is simply taking those preferences or the preferred ways and then using it to sell them. So NLP, if you look at it, it has actually like a negative stigma because it's about persuading people or influencing them to do something they wouldn't normally do. But people are using it for good, where they can use it to actually help people, right? Like from a psychological standpoint.